The Vampire System, Season 9. Chapter 1. The Fractured Dawn. In the aftermath of Quin's sacrifice, the world finds itself standing on a precarious edge between recovery and ruin. The rebellion, once united under a common cause, is now fractured into competing factions. Each faction has its own interpretation of what the world should become, and the loss of a central, unifying leader has left them drifting, vulnerable to both internal division and external threats. Magic, the very force that defined this world, has been destabilized by Quin's final act. Though the Abyssal Core has been sealed, its impact on the very fabric of existence lingers. While magic begins to stabilize, it's not the same as before. It's different now, more volatile, more unpredictable, and its very nature seems to be changing. Darius' struggle, the burden of leadership. Darius, who once sought to distance himself from leadership after the fall of the Void's influence, finds himself once again pulled into the heart of the rebellion struggle. With Quin gone, he is the closest thing to a leader that remains, though he is reluctant to take on that mantle again. His leadership was always questioned in the past. Too willing to sacrifice, too unwilling to compromise, and now, more than ever, he feels the weight of these doubts pressing on him. His leadership has become a symbol rather than a guiding force. He no longer has Quin to lean on for counsel or strength, and his own doubts about his role in this fight plague him daily. The new reality is harsh. Even with the Void's influence diminished, dark forces are already rising from the ashes of the rebellion's victory. Darius is constantly haunted by the question, is this the world Quin fought for? Is this the world worth saving? His journey this season is not just one of defending the rebellion or maintaining the fragile alliances between factions, but of reconciling with his past choices and facing his own existential crisis of purpose. Celine's dread, visions of the past and future. On the other side of this fractured world is Celine, the leader of the Tideborn. Having been a prominent figure in the rebellion, Celine now finds herself navigating treacherous political waters. With Quin's death, her sense of purpose has become blurred, and despite her best efforts to remain steadfast, she is plagued by visions of Quin's final moments. These visions are not simply memories. They're premonitions, visions of something worse, something far darker than what the rebellion has already endured. These visions hint at the re-emergence of an even greater threat than the Void, an ancient, forgotten power that could twist magic itself into something unrecognizable. Celine is haunted by a deep sense of foreboding, but she is also determined. She sees the necessity of uniting the fractured factions of the rebellion. Each faction, in its own way, holds part of the puzzle, and Celine believes that unity is the only way to face what's coming. But while she's trying to forge alliances and create a new, more stable order, she's constantly haunted by the possibility that no matter how much she tries to control the future, something far more sinister is waiting to emerge from the shadows. These visions grow more persistent, and she begins to fear that the future she sees may be inevitable. The state of the world, a wounded, delicate balance. The world as it stands is a fragile shell of what it once was. The fabric of society is torn apart, not just by war, but by the deep-rooted corruption that the Void left behind. The Abyssal Core has been sealed, but its echoes still permeate every corner of existence. It's not just the Void's presence that lingers, it's the scars it left behind. Broken cities, shattered alliances, the loss of so many lives. The rebellion may have won the war, but the battle for a new, stable world is far from over. The Abyssal Core might no longer be a tangible, physical threat, but its legacy is not so easily erased. Magic itself is in flux. The mystical energies that once ran wild, unchecked, and uncontrollable are now more stable, but they're changing, becoming something more unpredictable. In many ways, magic is evolving. What this means for the world remains uncertain. The shift in magic's nature mirrors the uncertain future of the rebellion and the world they are trying to rebuild. This change is deeply unsettling for many, as they know they can't predict the consequences of such a fundamental shift. The rebellion's struggle, factions, and betrayal. With Quin's death, the rebellion has splintered into several factions, each with its own interpretation of how the world should be governed and what role magic should play in the future. These factions don't always agree on how to move forward, and betrayal runs rampant, both from within and from the shadows. former allies now question each other's loyalties, and the trust that once bound them is now fragile and easily broken. Some factions, seeing the shift in magic, advocate for its return to its raw, unrestrained state, desiring a world where magic reigns supreme, unfettered by the shackles of the past. Others, fearing the chaos that such an imbalance could bring, want to regulate magic, hoping to establish a world where power is controlled and governed. These conflicting ideologies create constant friction, undermining the unity the rebellion needs to stay strong in the face of external threats. Within this chaos, some even begin to question whether the rebellion should have ever fought against the Void in the first place. There are whispers in the dark that perhaps the Void is not the true enemy. Perhaps it's the very nature of magic, of power, of the world itself, that needs to be redefined. Darius and Celine's growing partnership, a reluctant alliance. Despite their differences, Darius and Celine must work together in this fractured world. Darius, still carrying the scars of his leadership failures, has little desire to engage in political intricacies of rebuilding a broken world, while Celine is determined to forge alliances necessary for their survival. Both feel Quin's absence keenly, but while Darius is paralyzed by the weight of leadership, Celine's resolve strengthens in the face of adversity. Their alliance is one of necessity, though it's one fraught with tension. Darius is skeptical of Celine's vision. He's seen the consequences of idealism before, but as the world continues to teeter on the brink of collapse, they have little choice but to push forward. Darius still feels Quin's shadow, but as the chapter progresses, he begins to realize that it's not just about saving the world anymore. It's about saving themselves from the same mistakes of the past. The future will require hard choices and painful sacrifices, and Darius will need to confront the darkness within himself if he is to truly step into his role as a leader again. The unseen threats, the shadows whisper. Though the Void's direct influence has been sealed, its whispers still echo in the darkness. Darius and Celine's work is complicated not just by the political strife among the factions, but by the growing suspicion that something darker is stirring beneath the surface. The forces of the Void are not gone. They are simply lying dormant, waiting for the right moment to strike. As the two leaders grapple with rebuilding the rebellion, the shadow of the Void looms over them. The question of whether the Void can truly be sealed, or whether it is only lying in wait, is one that neither can shake. As Darius and Celine push forward, they will discover that the path to a new dawn is fraught with hidden dangers, secrets yet to be uncovered, and a prophecy that may hold the key to unlocking the future or bringing about its end. Chapter 2, The Dark Horizon. The delicate balance established in the aftermath of Quin's sacrifice is beginning to crack. With the rebellion fractured and the forces of the Void still whispering from the shadows, a new, far more terrifying threat begins to emerge on the horizon. Chapter 2, The Dark Horizon, delves deeper into growing uncertainty, as Darius and Celine realize that the victory they thought they had secured was but a fleeting moment of respite before the true darkness begins to rise. The echoes of the Void, a dangerous resurgence. The chapter opens with the lingering repercussions of Quin's death, still fresh in the minds of the rebellion's leaders. The seeds Quin planted, his vision of a world free from the Void's influence, feel distant and unachievable now. Though the Abyssal Core has been sealed and the Void's physical presence is gone, its influence still seeps into the very fabric of the world. Magic is unstable, unpredictable, and, despite its apparent recovery, still carries a certain malevolent energy. The whispers of the Void continue to pulse beneath the surface of reality, growing stronger in some areas, threatening to tip the balance once more. At the same time, the factions within the rebellion grow increasingly fragmented, and their unity continues to erode. While Darius and Celine struggle to hold the remnants of their alliance together, old tensions surface, and alliances become strained as each faction pursues its own vision of the future. Betrayals are common, and whispers of ancient, forgotten powers are starting to surface. Something more insidious than just political fragmentation is stirring, and is connected to the deep well of magic the Void left behind. The emergence of the Shadowborn. It is within this fractured world that a new, ancient threat reveals itself. The Shadowborn. Thought to be a myth, an order of dark mages that was destroyed long ago during the final collapse of the Void's reign. The Shadowborn have resurfaced in the shadows of history. They are led by Riven, a figure whose very presence exudes dark charisma and raw. forbidden knowledge. Riven is not just a power-hungry warlord, but someone with profound understanding of the Void's nature. He believes that the only way to rid the world of the Void's corrupting influence is not through battle or banishment, but by embracing the Void to integrate its essence with the world and reshape reality itself. He is determined to resurrect the Abyssal Core, but with a terrifying twist. Unlike the Rebellion's goal of merely containing the Void, Riven wants to wield its power, to use it as a force for a new order, where the rules of magic and reality are completely rewritten. He claims that only by merging with the Void can true freedom be achieved, a world where the borders between life, death, and magic no longer exist. Riven's vision is one of chaos, rebirth, and transformation, a world beyond the confines of the old order. For the Rebellion, Riven's emergence is a nightmare. If he succeeds in his plan, the world will be plunged into an eternal night, where magic is untethered, reality is in flux, and all that exists is shaped by the Void's will. Darius and Selene, a reluctant alliance. As the Shadowborn begin to make their presence felt, Darius and Selene realize they must set aside their differences, at least for now. Their first instinct is to work separately, focusing on rebuilding their fractured factions, but Riven's growing influence quickly forces their hand. They recognize that if they continue to bicker among themselves, they will never stand a chance against the threat of the Shadowborn. However, the alliance between Darius and Selene is fraught with tension. Darius is still haunted by the legacy of Quin and is struggling to find his footing as a leader. He doesn't want to be the person to step into Quin's shoes, and the weight of the Rebellion's future feels too heavy for him. On the other hand, Selene is pushing for a more unified front. She sees the necessity of cooperation, even if it means compromising some of her own ideals. But deep down, she carries the same sense of dread that has been haunting her since Quin's death. The sense that this is just the beginning of something much darker, something even worse than the Void itself. The tension between them is palpable. Darius, still unsure of his role, feels that Selene's idealism and need for unity might be more dangerous than she realizes. Meanwhile, Selene believes that Darius is too hesitant, too burdened by Quin's shadow, and is reluctant to take the risks necessary to rebuild and move forward. Both feel the weight of responsibility pressing down on them, but the cracks in their alliance are already starting to show. Riven's first move, the siege of Valterra. The Rebellion's tenuous unity is put to the test as Riven makes his first significant move against them. Using his followers, the Shadowborn, he launches a brutal siege on Valterra, a strategically important city that serves as one of the Rebellion's primary strongholds. Valterra is not just a symbol of the Rebellion's strength, but also a crucial point for the movement to maintain communication and supply lines between its factions. The siege is a ruthless affair. Riven's Shadowborn use powerful, dark magic to cripple the city's defenses, conjuring storms of shadow and twisting the very essence of magic around the city. The people of Valterra, once hopeful in the aftermath of Quin's sacrifice, now face a devastating threat that seems unstoppable. Darius and Selene, leading a desperate counteroffensive, realize just how far Riven's power has reached and how badly the Rebellion is outmatched. The prophecies wait, a choice to be made. As Valterra burns and the Rebellion's position becomes more tenuous with each passing day, Darius begins to dig deeper into prophecy that has been haunting him. The ancient texts he uncovered in the ruins of Athar hinted at a chosen one, someone who could wield the Void's power, but at a terrible cost. The prophecy seemed to point to him. But as Riven's forces grow stronger, Darius begins to question whether he is the one destined to shape the future, or if his involvement in the prophecy will be the very thing that ensures the Void's return. In the midst of the siege, Darius confronts the Oracle of Athar, an ancient being whose knowledge of the future is said to be unmatched. The Oracle reveals that the prophecy is far more complicated than Darius ever imagined. The Chosen One is not simply a hero or a savior. It's a being who will carry the power of the Void itself, bound to it in ways that will forever change the course of the world. The Oracle warns Darius that the fate of the Rebellion may rest on his shoulders, but it may also rest on the choices he makes in the coming days. The question of whether he should embrace his connection to the Void or reject it entirely will be the deciding factor in whether they can stop Riven's rising power. The more Darius learns, the more he fears that the prophecy does not lead to salvation, but to his own destruction. He He begins to wonder whether the true danger of the world is not Riven or the Shadowborn, but the very nature of the void itself, and whether it can ever truly be banished. Vega's mysterious role. Meanwhile, a mysterious figure named Vega emerges from the shadows. A former ally of Quin, Vega claims to possess knowledge that could stop Riven's plans. She has a deep, unsettling connection to the void itself, and her motivations are unclear. She offers Darius and Selene a potential solution, but they quickly realize that her true intentions may be far more dangerous than they first appeared. Vega is not simply a guide or an ally. She is a vessel of the void, and her involvement could either save the rebellion or doom them all. Chapter 3. The Abyssal Relic. As the rebellion's unity continues to fracture in the shadow of Riven, and the Shadowborn looms ever closer, the stakes of the battle for survival grow even more dire. The Abyssal Relic, a powerful and mysterious artifact that could tip the scales in the ongoing conflict, becomes a central focus of the rebellion's hopes and fears. The race to find the relic forces Darius, Selene, and their allies into uncharted territories, not only in the physical world but deep within their own hearts and minds. The search for the Abyssal Relic. Whispers of Power. The chapter opens with a revelation that the Abyssal Relic, an ancient artifact said to hold the power to control the void, might be the only way to counter the growing influence of the Shadowborn. The relic, however, is not a simple magical object. It is tied to the very fabric of the void itself, and its power is so vast and dangerous that it could either restore the balance of magic or bring about the world's destruction. For years, it was believed to be a myth, a story told by the ancients in hushed tones, a tale of power too dangerous to even contemplate. But now, whispers of its existence are circulating through the ranks of the rebellion and among the Shadowborn, who believe that finding the relic is the key to reshaping the world and bringing about the return of the Abyssal Core. The relic, according to ancient texts, is hidden within the ruins of Athar, an ancient, forgotten city once believed to have been a bastion of knowledge and magic. Buried beneath the sea, Athar was thought to be lost to time, its secret sealed away by the very powers that once shaped the world's magic. But now, the truth begins to surface. The relic is not just a weapon to be used. It is a catalyst that could awaken a force far darker than the void itself. The Tie-born connection. Selene's burden. As the search intensifies, Selene reveals her deep connection to the relic in the ancient city of Athar. The Tie-born, her people, were among the last to study and protect the knowledge of Athar, and Selene herself was raised with tales of the relic's power. Her knowledge is invaluable to the rebellion, but it is also a heavy burden for her. She is haunted by visions of Quin's death and the feeling that the relic is tied to her fate in ways she doesn't fully understand. There is a sense of dread that follows her, a gut-wrenching certainty that the relic's power will either save the world or unravel entirely. Selene's connection to the relic goes deeper than mere history. It is tied to the very origin of water magic. The relic is said to be the source of the first water-based spells and elemental control, but it also carries an ancient curse. Anyone who tries to harness its full power risks being consumed by it. Her knowledge of the relic's origins is both a gift and a curse. She must confront her own fears about the destructive potential of the artifact and the possibility that her own magic may be altered forever by its awakening. Her internal struggle heightens throughout the chapter, especially as she begins to realize that the relic's activation could mean the return of the void's influence on the world, something she had hoped was long gone. She fears that her involvement in the search for the relic may inadvertently bring about the very destruction she is trying to prevent. The tension between her loyalty to the rebellion and her fear of the relic's power reaches a boiling point. The ruins of Athar, a dangerous expedition. With Selene's guidance, Darius and the rest of the rebellion set off toward the ruins of Athar, buried beneath the sea. The journey is perilous, and the deeper they travel into this forgotten city, the more dangerous it becomes. The once grand architecture of Athar now lies in ruins, drowned beneath the waves and eroded by centuries of neglect. The city's magic is still present, though, and its very atmosphere is thick with the energy of the void. The ruins are not uninhabited. Strange, twisted creatures, remnants of the ancient magic that once lived there, still roam the submerged city, twisted by the power of the void that lingered even after its supposed death. These creatures, born of magic and shadow, are not only physically dangerous, but also possess an eerie, psychic influence that distorts reality and plays with the minds of those who enter the ruins. Fear, doubt, and confusion spread quickly among the rebellion's ranks as they ventured deeper into Athar's heart. As Darius and his companions make their way through the ruins, they discover more than just physical dangers. The city itself seems alive, reacting to their presence. Strange visions, fragments of past lives, and cryptic messages start to plague them. The deeper they go, the more they realize that Athar's secrets are far darker than they ever could have imagined. The relic's power is linked to a long-forgotten prophecy, one that speaks of a time when the Abyssal Core will return and the world will face a final reckoning. Vega's dark secret, a veiled agenda. Amidst the growing danger of Athar, a mysterious figure named Vega reappears. She claims to have knowledge of the relic's secrets and promises to help Darius and Selene navigate the perils of the city. However, her true intentions remain murky. Vega, a former ally of Quin, is revealed to have a much deeper connection to the Void than anyone realized. Though she initially presents herself as a potential ally, it soon becomes clear that she has her own agenda. Vega's role in the search for the relic is not entirely altruistic. She is revealed to be an agent of the Void, a chosen vessel who was sent to guide the relic's rediscovery and activation. She believes that the only way to truly defeat the Void's influence is to embrace it fully, not by resisting it. This is a dangerous philosophy, one that threatens to undo everything the rebellion has fought for. As the tension between Vega and the rebellion's leaders grows, Darius begins to suspect that she might be manipulating events from the shadows. Despite her knowledge of the relic's location and power, there is something off about her, a coldness, a distance. It becomes clear that Vega's knowledge of the Void is not meant to aid them, but to fulfill her own twisted goal, the reawakening of the Abyssal Core. Her role in the expedition raises the stakes considerably, as the rebellion must now fight not only the dangers of Athar, but the hidden betrayal that might await them at every turn. The relic's awakening, the forbidden knowledge. Finally, after facing numerous dangers within the city, the group reaches the heart of the ruins of Athar. In a grand, submerged chamber lies the Abyssal Relic, a strange, otherworldly object that radiates a palpable sense of power. The relic itself is a thing of beauty and terror, an artifact of blackened crystal, shaped like a twisted spiral, with veins of shimmering, liquid magic running through it. It pulses with the latent energy of the Void, a faint hum that reverberates through the very bones of those who come near. As Darius approaches the relic, he feels an overwhelming sense of dread, as though the world is holding its breath. In that moment, he is struck by a sudden vision, an ancient prophecy, cryptic and fragmented, revealing that the Abyssal Relic is not simply a weapon. It is a key to unlocking the power of the Void, a key that could either destroy the world or restore balance. The prophecy speaks of a chosen one who must decide the fate of the relic, someone who will either wield its power to reshape reality or reject it entirely, condemning the world to an endless cycle of destruction. As Darius reaches out to touch the relic, the world around him begins to warp. The relic's energy surges, and visions of the Void's terrible influence begin to fill his mind. He sees the horrors of the Abyssal Realm, the twisted forms of the Shadowborn, and the devastation the Void could bring if allowed to fully return. In this moment, Darius understands the full scope of the relic's power, and the impossible choice that lies ahead. Selene's final choice, a world in flux. As the chapter draws to a close, Selene is faced with an agonizing decision. She has spent her life guarding the secrets of the Tideborn and their connection to the relic, but now she must confront the truth. The relic's power may be far beyond anyone's control. She knows that using the relic could either save the world or plunge it back into darkness, but it is not clear whether she or anyone can control the power it holds. The burden of the decision weighs heavily on her, as she is torn between her desire to protect the world and the terrifying possibility that, in trying to wield the relic's power, she may be hastening the return of the Void. The rebellion stands on the precipice of a new era, one where the choices they make could either seal their fate or rewrite the very fabric of magic itself. With the relic's power now within their grasp, the future remains uncertain, and the cost of wielding such power is far more than they could ever imagine. Chapter 4. Echoes of the Past. The rebellion, battered and uncertain, has reached a critical juncture. The search for the Abyssal Relic continues, But new challenges arise. Ones not just born of enemies, but the truths buried deep in the world's forgotten past. As Darius and Selene navigate the shifting loyalties within the rebellion and face down new threats, their journey uncovers unsettling secrets. Secrets that had changed everything they thought they knew about magic, the void, and their place in this fractured world. Unearthing the truth, the rebellion's quest to find the Abyssal Relic has not only led them into the heart of the ruins of Athar, but also to the discovery of long-forgotten scrolls, texts, and artifacts hidden away in the city's deepest corners. These records, scrawled in ancient languages and protected by forgotten magic, begin to reveal the true history of the world, one that had been concealed for millennia. Darius, driven by the need for answers, works tirelessly with Selene to decipher these texts. They learn of an ancient race of beings known as the Architects, who were once the creators of magic itself. The Architects were said to possess godlike abilities, able to shape reality, create life, and manipulate the fabric of the universe. But this incredible power came with consequences. Consequences that would haunt the world for centuries. The void was once nothing more than an empty, chaotic expanse, a place where reality and time twisted in on themselves. But the Architects, in their ambition, sought to harness its power, believing they could control it. They used the void's raw energies to shape the world and create the first magic, binding it to their will. In doing so, they not only birthed the forces of creation, but also sowed the seeds of destruction. The Architects fall. As Darius reads through the text, the story of the Architects' downfall becomes clear. They believed that by controlling the void, they could maintain the delicate balance of magic and reality. But the void, as they soon discovered, was not something to be controlled. It was something that, once touched, would slowly begin to corrupt everything in its wake. Magic itself began to warp, becoming unstable and unpredictable. What started as a tool for creation turned into a weapon of destruction. The Architects' experiments with the void led to the first corruption of magic, a phenomenon that spread like a disease through the world. Some of the Architects fell victim to it, their minds consumed by the void's influence. Others, seeing what their actions had wrought, tried to abandon their creations, but was too late. The Abyssal Core, the heart of the void's power, became a threat to all life. Its very existence was tied to the decay of magic itself. In their final, desperate act to contain the destruction they had caused, the Architects sealed the Abyssal Core away, hiding it in a place where no one could find it. They vanished, leaving behind a world scarred by their mistakes, with only fragments of their history scattered across the lands. The prophecy, the chosen one. As Darius and Selene delve deeper into the ancient scrolls, they uncover prophecy that was hidden within the texts. The prophecy speaks of a time when the Abyssal Core will resurface, and the world will face its final reckoning. It hints at a chosen one. Someone will be able to either harness the power of the void and reshape the world, or destroy forever, but at a terrible cost. This chosen one is described in the prophecy as having a deep connection to the void, a connection that cannot be severed without great sacrifice. Selene's thoughts immediately turn to Darius. He has always been at the center of the rebellion, and now it seems his destiny is tied to the very power that has plagued the world for centuries. But as the prophecy warns, the price of power is steep, and Darius may be forced to make an unimaginable choice. The closer they get to understanding the prophecy, the more Darius begins to question whether the rebellion's fight is truly about defeating the void, or whether they are merely fulfilling the prophecy, playing to forces far greater than themselves. Selene's struggle, a burden of knowledge. For Selene, the discovery of the prophecy is both a revelation and a curse. As a leader of the Tideborn, she has always carried the weight of her people's history and the ancient knowledge passed down through generations. She knows the Tideborn's connection to the relic and the magic that binds them to the sea. But now, with the prophecy resurfacing, Selene feels the weight of a much darker truth. Her people are not merely protectors of the Abyssal Relic. They are guardians of a secret that could end the world if the wrong hands control it. Her visions of Quin's final moments become more frequent, more vivid, as she starts to realize that the tragedy of Quin's death was just the beginning of a much larger cycle. Selene fears that, like Quin, Darius might be the one to bear the burden of the prophecy. She doesn't want to see him fall victim to the same fate. But even as she grapples with these fears, she knows that there is little choice. The relic is now within reach, and the future of the rebellion and the world depends on what happens next. The hidden truths of magic. One of the most disturbing revelations of this chapter is the discovery that magic itself may not be the force of good that the rebellion has always believed it to be. The architect's creation was not simply a tool for power. It was a link to the void, a dangerous force that continues to shape the world's magic. The very spells the rebellion uses to fight their enemies, the magic that fuels their power, are a reflection of the void's influence. As Darius and Selene realize the extent of the void's presence in their world, they are faced with a terrifying question. Can magic truly be separated from the void? And if it cannot, then what does that mean for the future of the rebellion and the future of the world itself? The echoes of the void, the Shadowborn's purpose. The deeper the rebellion digs into the past, the more it becomes clear that the Shadowborn, the dark order that now threatens the world, are not merely after power for its own sake. They are after the Abyssal Core, because they believe that by merging with the void, they can transcend the limitations of their mortal existence and reshape reality itself. Riven, their leader, is not seeking domination for personal gain. He believes that only through the void can the world be remade into something greater, even if that means the destruction of the current order. As the chapter concludes, Darius and Selene realize that the Shadowborn are not just enemies to be defeated. They are embodiment of the ancient mistake made by the architects, the same dangerous pursuit of ultimate power that led to the first corruption of magic. But while the rebellion fights to contain the void's influence, the Shadowborn fight to embrace it fully. And in doing so, they may very well become the catalyst for the return of the void in its purest form, the burden of knowledge. As they finish their studies of the ancient texts, Darius and Selene stand at a crossroads. They now possess the knowledge of the past, the story of the architects, the fall of magic, the true nature of the void, and with it comes a deep sense of foreboding. They understand that the war they are fighting is not just against the Shadowborn or the void, but against the very nature of existence itself. The rebellion is no longer just a fight for survival. It is a race against time to prevent the world from repeating the mistakes of its creators. And with the Abyssal Relic now within reach, the prophecy weighing heavily on them, and the Shadowborn drawing ever closer, Darius and Selene are forced to make a decision that will change everything. Will they fight to preserve the world as it is? Or will they embrace the inevitable, becoming the architects of their own future, for better or worse? The echoes of the past are growing louder, and the choices they make now will echo through the centuries, shaping the world's fate. Chapter 5, The Shadowborn's Lair. The rebellion's tenuous grasp on hope begins to fray in Chapter 5. The Shadowborn's Lair, as Darius and Selene lead their forces deeper into the heart of the ancient ruins of Thar. In the wake of discovering the Abyssal Relic and the hidden truths of the past, they must now confront a far darker reality. The Shadowborn are not merely enemies seeking power. They are the harbingers of a new age, one shaped by the void itself. With the Abyssal Core and the Relic in their grasp, the Shadowborn's ultimate goal is clear. They seek to merge the void with the physical world, bringing about the end of the current order and the dawn of something far more sinister. In this chapter, alliances shift, and the true cause of confronting the void becomes painfully clear. The rebellion is on the edge of collapse, their enemies closing in from all sides. With the Shadowborn preparing to strike, Darius and Selene must enter the depths of Thar and face their darkest fears, not just of the enemy they fight, but themselves. The last stand of rebellion, retreat and desperation. The rebellion's stronghold, which had long stood as a beacon of hope, is now under siege. The Shadowborn, with their shadowy magics and relentless assault, have slowly but surely worn down the defenses. Darius and Selene are forced to make a decision. Stay and continue to fight a losing battle, or retreat to a more secure location where they might have a chance to regroup and strategize. After a tense council meeting, they agree to fall back to the ruins of Thar, believing that the ancient city, long thought abandoned and filled with forgotten dangers, may offer them the strategic advantage they desperately need. The Shadowborn, led by the charismatic and dangerous Riven, have already set their sights on Thar, aware of the relic's power and its connection to the Abyssal Core. This knowledge only adds to the urgency of their mission. Darius and Selene understand that the ruins of Thar can hold the answers they need to understand the Abyssal Relic, but it is also the most dangerous place to be. It is a place where the void's influence runs deepest, and where the Shadowborn's greatest weapon lies in wait. The hunt for the Abyssal Core. The deeper the rebellion ventures into Thar, the more the city seems to reject them. The ancient stones of the ruins, once grand and filled with arcane power, are now nothing more than crumbling ruins and forgotten tombs. Yet there is an unmistakable presence in the air, a dark energy that lingers over everything, making every step feel as though the world itself is shifting beneath their feet. The abyssal core, the heart of the void's power, is said to lie beneath Athar, guarded by ancient wards and the spirits of the past, bound there by the architects themselves. These wards have kept the void's influence from fully manifesting in the physical world, but with each passing day, their power wanes. Riven and the Shadowborn know this, and they seek to break these wards, to unlock the full potential of the abyssal core, and to reshape the world according to their own vision. As the rebellion enters the inner sanctum of the ruins, they find themselves facing not just the physical remnants of the past, but the echoes of the abyssal realm itself. The closer they get to the core, the more the laws of magic and reality begin to unravel. It is as though the very ground beneath their feet is warping, twisting, pulling them into the dark currents of the void. Time bends and warps, shadows stretch in unnatural ways, and the line between life and death seems thinner than ever. The deeper they go, the more unnerving it becomes. In these depths, the rebellion faces the whispers of the void, the same whispers that once drove the architects to madness. Every shadow seems to hide a deeper threat. Every corner holds an unknown danger. The deeper they delve, the more they realize the ruins of Athar were never meant to be explored, and whoever seeks the abyssal core is bound to face the consequences of their greed. The Shadowborn's true agenda, Riven's vision. The arrival of the Shadowborn in the ruins marks a turning point. Riven, their leader, is not merely a power-hungry mage. His true vision for the world is far more dangerous and unsettling than anything the rebellion could have imagined. Riven's philosophy is simple. The void is not a force to be feared or destroyed. It is a next step in the evolution of the universe. The world in its current state is stagnant, corrupted by centuries of war, corruption, and the abuse of magic. The void in Riven's eyes is a catalyst for change, a force that can reshape the world by stripping of its flawed nature and replacing it with something more pure, more perfect. He believes that by merging the abyssal core with the physical world, he can bring about a new age of creation, free from the corruption of the past. But in truth, Riven does not merely want to control the void. He wants to become it, to transcend the limits of mortality and merge with the abyssal core, taking its power into himself. This is the dark promise of the Shadowborn, to transcend human limits, to become gods of a new, dark world. In his mind, the abyssal core is the key to this transformation. It holds not just the power to control the void, but to become one with it. He believes that through a ritual, he can integrate the void's essence into his own being, reshaping the very laws of reality. The world will be reborn in his image, with the Shadowborn standing at the apex of this new order. Vega's betrayal, a shocking revelation. As the chapter progresses, another shocking revelation takes shape. Vega, the mysterious figure who once fought alongside Quin, is revealed to be a sleeper agent of the void. She has been working from the shadows, manipulating events to lead the rebellion to this very moment. Her knowledge of the void, her understanding of its dark influence, and her connection to the abyssal core are far deeper than anyone had realized. Vega's betrayal is not just personal, it is cosmic. She reveals that she has known for some time that Darius is the key to unlocking the abyssal core, and that his connection to the void is destined. Vega, in her twisted loyalty to the void, believes that Darius is the chosen one who will fulfill the prophecy, not to destroy the void, but to become the next guardian of the abyssal core. She has been working to guide him toward this ultimate fate, even at the cost of Quin's life, because she believes that this is the only way to truly free the world from the corruption of the physical realm. Darius, once again, finds himself caught in the web of fate, unsure whether he is truly the hero of the rebellion or simply a pawn in a larger cosmic game. Vega's words ring in his mind. You were always meant for this. The world has never needed you more than now. The ruins unveil a dark secret, the gateway to the abyssal realm. As Darius and Selene press on, they finally reach the heart of the ruins, the abyssal temple. It is here, in this darkened sanctum, that they make their most terrifying discovery. The temple is not simply a structure to contain the abyssal core. It is a gateway to the Abyssal Realm, a dimension outside of time and space, where the laws of reality no longer apply. The temple is alive. Its walls pulse with the same dark energy that radiates from the abyssal core. The rebellion realizes that the core does not merely exist as a power source. It is a living entity, a bridge between the physical world and the void. The longer they stay, the more they can feel the influence of the abyssal realm pressing in on them, pulling them closer to the darkness. The shadowy forces of the void grow stronger as the temple begins to awaken. The walls shift and the ground trembles. The rebellion is trapped, the gateway to the abyssal realm opening before them. But with Riven and the Shadowborn closing in on them, Darius and Selene realize that they are now standing at the precipice of reality itself. And whatever happens next will determine the fate of the world. The decision, with Riven's forces closing in and the abyssal core within reach, Darius is faced with a choice more terrifying than any he has made before. Should he destroy the core and risk tearing apart the fabric of reality itself, or embrace its power and merge with the void to reshape the world as Riven proposes? As the gates of the abyssal realm begin to open, Darius must decide what price he is willing to pay for the future, and whether the world he's fighting to save is worth the cost. In the end, the rebellion must face the truth. The fight against the Shadowborn is not just a battle for survival, but a battle for the soul of the world itself. And only by confronting the dark truth of the void can they hope to win. Chapter 6, The Broken Prophecy. In Chapter 6, The Broken Prophecy, the rebellion is forced to confront the reality of their most difficult battle yet. One not just against the Shadowborn or the void, but against a fate that has been written for them long before their birth. With the ruins of Athar behind them and the abyssal relic now within their grasp, Darius and Selene are confronted with an ancient oracle that holds the key to understanding not just the abyssal core, but the prophecy that binds them all to the void's inevitable return. In this chapter, the very nature of the rebellion struggle is called into question. The deeper they go into mysteries of the past, the more it becomes clear. They may not be fighting against the void. They may be fulfilling it. The oracle's revelation sets the stage for a choice that will not only define the fate of the rebellion, but will alter the fabric of the world forever. The Oracle of Athar, a living relic. The journey to the oracle is an uncertain one, filled with perilous terrain and the ever-looming shadow of the Shadowborn's advance. Yet, the Oracle of Athar is an entity unlike any other, a being said to possess the knowledge of the future, an ancient seer who was bound to the ruins of Athar long ago by the architects themselves. Her powers are beyond human comprehension, able to perceive the threads of fate itself and offer guidance, or curse those who seek her counsel. When Darius and Selene finally reach the Oracle's resting place, deep within the heart of Athar's crumbling labyrinth, they find her encased in a glowing crystal, a prisoner of her own visions. The Oracle, known as Elia, was once a mortal being, but her mind was slowly consumed by the knowledge of the future, a gift and a curse. She cannot see only the future. She sees all possibilities, all branches of fate, and has been trapped in the web of her own understanding for centuries. As Darius and Selene approach her, they feel the weight of countless lives, decisions, and worlds pressing down on them. Elia's eyes, blind but still seeing, lock onto them, and she speaks in a voice that seems to come from every corner of time. Her words are not simple. They are riddles cryptic, layered with meaning, forcing the two leaders to question everything they know. She does not merely speak in terms of time. She speaks of essence, of forces far beyond mortal comprehension. The prophecy revealed, a chosen one and a broken future. As the oracle's words unfold, the true nature of the prophecy is revealed. The prophecy speaks of the abyssal core, and at a time when the void will return to the world, not as a threat to be destroyed, but as an essential force that would reshape everything. In her cryptic manner, Elia tells Darius and Selene that one among them, someone who has blood tied to the void, will be the one to decide the fate of all. This figure will either bind the void to the world, allowing the balance of creation and destruction to be forever altered, or they will sever the connection to the void, destroying magic itself. But the prophecy holds a terrible secret. The chosen one, the individual who will make this decision, has already been chosen long ago, and their destiny is inevitable. Elia's vision reveals that Darius, once a symbol of rebellion, is the chosen one of the prophecy. The revelation strikes him like a thunderclap, as it means that the entire rebellion, the fight against the void, and everything they've struggled for may have been an elaborate design all along. Their rebellion is not an attempt to stop the void. It is a mechanism through which the prophecy will come to pass. The prophecy itself has been broken over time. It was never meant to be fulfilled by mortals. Yet, by their actions, the rebellion has set the stage for it to occur. The rebellion's fight to destroy the void has, in fact, been part of the void's resurgence, a grand manipulation of fate, where even their success will only hasten the return of the abyssal core and the void itself. Darius, as the chosen one, is now a part of the broken prophecy, a man who has walked the line between hope and despair, but has never been truly free of the forces that bind him to the void. The heart of the decision, a terrible choice. The most shocking element of the prophecy is the sacrifice it demands. The chosen one, as foretold, must either embrace the void, becoming its vessel and the guardian of the abyssal core, or destroy the core at the cost of destroying magic itself. In either case, the world will never be the same. Darius realizes, with a growing sense of dread, that this is not a fight he has ever in full control over. It is a cycle, one that has been set into motion long before he was born. Elia's words are harsh and unyielding. The void is not a force that can be destroyed. It will not be vanquished, not in the way you think. It is as much a part of creation as life and death. The more you fight it, the closer you come to becoming it. Your victory is already written in Darius. The question is, what will you become? As the weight of Elia's revelation settles over them, Selene struggles with a deep personal conflict. She has always seen Darius as the heart of the rebellion, the man who could lead them to freedom. But now, with this prophecy hanging over them, she wonders if they've been fighting the wrong battle all along. Is Darius truly the savior they need, or is he the very agent of the void's return? She fears the very idea that the prophecy's completion might destroy everything they fought for. The true cost of victory, a choice between destruction and sacrifice. Darius' mind races as he tries to process the oracle's words. For years, he has seen himself as a leader, a man fighting to protect the future. But now, he's faced with a revelation that all his actions may have been leading him here, to this very moment. Every choice, every battle, has been guided by a force greater than him, a force tied to the void. The rebellion is now caught in a twisting paradox. To destroy the abyssal core means the destruction of magic itself. The void, which has shaped the very fabric of their existence, will cease to exist. But without magic, the world would fall into an irreversible darkness. A world without magic is one devoid of life, hope, and future. On the other hand, if Darius embraces the void, becoming its guardian, the world will be forever changed. But he will lose his humanity in the process. He will become a vessel for the void, neither fully alive nor fully dead, existing in a place between creation and destruction. Darius knows that the rebellion's future is now tied to his decision. The lives of those who fought beside him, the ones who trusted him to lead them to a better world, hang in the balance. He must decide whether to sacrifice his humanity for the greater good or to destroy the very forces that make life worth living. But the oracle's warning looms large in his mind. No matter the choice, the world will never be the same. Selene's vision, a path to freedom, while Darius grapples with his impending choice. Selene is not far behind in her thoughts. The knowledge of the prophecy weighs heavily on her, but she believes there may still be a chance to break free of this fate. Could there be a way to reverse the prophecy's course? Could the rebellion find another path, one that doesn't lead to the destruction of magic or the void's dominance? Her connection to the Tideborn and their ancient knowledge might hold the key. But as she searches for a new way forward, she begins to understand a painful truth. Even their efforts to defy fate may have been part of the plan. Is there truly a way to change the prophecy, or has the rebellion's defiance merely been another step in the void cycle? The unraveling truth. By the end of the chapter, Darius and Selene realize that the prophecy is not an end, but a beginning, a broken circle that can never be fully escaped. The forces that govern the world, the very fabric of time, have already begun to unravel, and the truth is far more complex than either of them could have ever imagined. The world may be at the cusp of its final reckoning, and it is up to Darius and Selene to make the ultimate choice. But the consequences of that choice will echo through time. leaving them to wonder if their fate was ever truly their own to control. The rebellion is no longer just a fight for survival. It is a battle for the very soul of the world itself. And in this fight, no one will walk away unscathed. Chapter 7, Into the Void. A moment when Darius, Selene, and their allies must confront the most dangerous force they've ever faced. The Abyssal Realm, the heart of the void itself. This chapter takes them beyond the physical world and into a dimension where the laws of reality are rewritten, and every step is fraught with uncertainty. The choices they make here will determine whether they have any hope of saving the world, or whether they will become pawns in the void's endless cycle of destruction. A final choice to enter the abyss. In the wake of the Oracle's revelation about the broken prophecy, Darius and Selene are left with little time to make a decision. With the Shadowborn closing in on them and Riven's forces gathering strength, they know they must act quickly, either to stop the void from re-entering the world or risk its absolute domination. However, their only path forward lies within the Abyssal Realm, a place that is said to hold the power to either destroy or contain the void forever. The Abyssal Realm is no ordinary dimension. It is a place outside time and space, where the boundaries of existence are malleable and ever-shifting. It is the place where the Abyssal Core originated, the birthplace of the void itself. To enter it is to risk losing one's humanity, for it is a place that feeds on the souls of those who venture too deep into its depths. Yet it is also the key to the ultimate choice Darius must make, whether to embrace the void, becoming its new guardian, or destroy the Abyssal Core and all magic along with it. The Guardians of the Abyss. As they prepare to enter the Abyssal Realm, Darius and Selene are confronted by a strange, unseen presence, the Guardians of the Void. These ancient entities, once part of the world creation, now exist solely within the Abyss, their forms impossible to comprehend. They are the keepers of the Void's power, existing in a state of perpetual existence between life and death. They have no allegiance to either side in the rebellion. To them, Darius and Selene are simply interlopers, potential candidates to fulfill their purpose within the cycle of the void. The Guardians do not speak in words. Instead, they communicate through visions and emotions. They show Darius and Selene what awaits them. The true nature of the void, its potential to reshape the world, to return to a primal state of balance, but also its ability to utterly destroy everything that has been built, leaving only darkness in its wake. The Guardians hint that Darius' fate is already sealed. He is the chosen one of the prophecy, the one who will either wield the void's power or be consumed by it. But they do not give him a clear answer, instead offering only the haunting reminder that no mortal can escape the void's will. The descent into the Abyssal Realm. Despite the warnings, Darius and Selene make the decision to enter the Abyssal Realm. With their minds set, they descend into the heart of the ruins of Athar, the site of the final gateway into the void. Here, in the depths of this long-forgotten city, they must confront the essence of creation and destruction itself. As they step through the portal, the world around them shatters. The laws of physics break down. Time moves in spirals, and reality itself bends and contorts. The Abyssal Realm is a place of eternal twilight, where colors are twisted and shapes shift in ways that defy logic. Everything is both familiar and alien, a reflection of the world they know, but also a distorted mirror, constantly changing and reshaping. The air feels thick with an oppressive force, as if the very fabric of reality is collapsing on itself. Gravity warps. One moment, they're walking on solid ground, and the next, they're floating in a space that seems to stretch on forever. Their every move feels like a battle against the realm itself, as if it's trying to pull them into its endless abyss. The deeper they go, the more they feel their connection to the physical world weakening. Their bodies begin to fade, their sense of self becoming diluted by the void's overwhelming influence. They are no longer simply fighting against physical enemies. They are fighting against their own essence, trying to retain their identities as they are engulfed by the void's seductive pull. The heart of the void, the Abyssal Core. After what feels like an eternity of wandering through the shifting, surreal landscapes of the Abyssal Realm, Darius and Selene finally come upon the Abyssal Core, the source of the void's power. The core itself is a massive, writhing entity, a swirling vortex of dark energy, pulsating with malevolent intent. It is a living, breathing force, a thing of chaos and creation, bound to the very fabric of the universe. The Abyssal Core, does not exist in a single location. Instead, it expands and contracts, its presence felt throughout the realm, its tendrils reaching into every corner of the void. The moment Darius and Selene approach it, they feel the pull of its power, a sense of inevitability settling over them. It is here that the truth of the void is revealed. The Abyssal Core is not merely a weapon. It is a manifestation of balance itself, a force that brings about the cyclical destruction and rebirth of all things. Without the void, there can be no life. Without life, there can be no meaning. The void is both necessary and destructive, a part of the eternal cycle of creation and decay. The world cannot exist without it, just as it cannot exist with it in full. Darius realizes that destroying the Abyssal Core will not simply erase the void. It will erase all magic, all life, and all the elements that make the world what it is. But embracing the void means becoming its servant, the new guardian, bound to the core for all eternity, and losing his humanity in the process. The guardian of the void, the ultimate sacrifice. As Darius stands before the Abyssal Core, he faces the ultimate choice. The guardian of the void is not a ruler. They are its vessel. To accept the void's power means to surrender oneself completely, to become nothing but the void's will, to reshape reality as the void sees fit. Selene, standing beside him, feels the pull of the Abyssal Core as well. She sees the future unraveling before her eyes, a vision of what could be, a world where the balance of creation and destruction exists in harmony, where the void is both feared and revered. But she also sees the cost, the death of all that they fought for, the destruction of magic, the end of freedom. Darius is forced to confront the truth. The rebellion's battle was never about defeating the void. It was about whether to embrace it and reshape the world under its influence, or to destroy it and lose everything they have fought to protect. In the final moments of the chapter, Darius must make the choice to embrace the Abyssal Core's power and become the guardian of the void, or to sever the connection between the world and the void, risking the destruction of everything. As the winds of the abyssal realm howl around them, time itself seems to stop. The choice is his and his alone. Chapter 8, The Final Eclipse, where the consequences of Darius's choices come to fruition. The rebellion's fight against the void and the Shadowborn culminates in a battle that will decide the fate of the world. As Darius faces the Abyssal Core, the power of the void threatens to overwhelm the world, and the final battle for reality itself unfolds. This chapter is a test of sacrifice, choice, and the burden of ultimate power. The calm before the storm. The chapter opens with an eerie calm. The forces of the Shadowborn, led by Riven, are drawing near. But for now, there's an uneasy silence as the rebellion regroups within the abyssal realm. Darius, Selene, and their closest allies stand on the precipice of destiny, unsure of the path forward. The Abyssal Core pulses with malevolent energy, casting its influence over the landscape like a dark sun. Darius is filled with a sense of growing unease, and the weight of his decision presses upon him like an unshakable burden. He knows that whatever happens next, it will change the course of history forever. The rebellion's survival or destruction hinges on a single choice, whether to embrace the void and become its new guardian, or to destroy the Abyssal Core and risk the collapse of all magic, condemning the world to an existence devoid of life and balance. In a private moment with Selene, Darius admits his uncertainty. He is no longer sure if he is fighting for the freedom of the world, or if he has become an instrument of the void's will. Selene, who has always believed in Darius's leadership, can see the internal battle raging within him, but she also knows the rebellion has no choice but to follow him, regardless of what decision he makes. Their fates are intertwined. They share a quiet, tense moment. Selene's thoughts are clouded by the realization that they may be fighting for an uncertain future, one that may not include the magic that binds the world together. The cost of victory, it seems, is becoming increasingly clear. Magic, in all its forms, cannot exist without the void. It's not just a destructive force. It is an essential part of creation itself. The approach of the final eclipse. As Darius and Selene stand before the Abyssal Core, the shadow of the void grows ever stronger. They are not alone. Riven and his Shadowborn army are advancing, drawn to the power of the core. His belief that the void can be embraced rather than defeated has only strengthened, and he is prepared to reshape the world with the Abyssal Core at his command. Darius's greatest fear is now a reality. The final eclipse of magic is upon them. The skies above the abyssal realm darken. The world seems to bend under the pressure of the void's presence, and time itself begins to distort. It is as if the universe is holding its breath, preparing for the end of an era. The abyssal core begins to draw on the power of the void, its energies surge into the fabric of existence, threatening to merge the void with the material world. The rebellion's forces, scattered across the ruined city of Athar, prepare for the inevitable battle. Selene leads the Tideborn, rallying their forces to hold off the Shadowborn for as long as possible. The world seems to be at the edge of destruction. Either the void will consume everything, or the core will be destroyed, taking magic itself with it. Darius realizes that Riven's vision of embracing the void might have been more accurate than he's willing to admit. Riven believes the world must merge with the void, acknowledging the balance between creation and destruction. But Darius's mind is torn. Can the void truly be controlled, or will it consume him like it has consumed countless others? The battle between Darius and Riven. The tension between Darius and Riven reaches its breaking point. Riven, having already embraced the void's power, becomes a force to be reckoned with. His dark magic flows through him with terrifying strength, and he believes with absolute certainty that the future of the world lies in the integration of the void's power. Riven's words ring through the abyssal realm. The void is the only true freedom. It is beyond life, beyond death. It is the ultimate form of balance. Without it, the world will fall into stagnation. You cannot defeat it, Darius. You must become it. The two leaders stand opposite one another, surrounded by their forces, the tide of the rebellion against the Shadowborn, and the silent force of the void pressing upon them both. As Riven prepares to unleash the final assault on Darius, the battle is not just physical, it's ideological. Darius challenges Riven's beliefs, arguing that the void's influence has already taken enough from the world. Magic, life, death, and even the very fabric of existence are at risk if the void is allowed to completely merge with the world. His fight isn't just against Riven. It's a struggle for the soul of the world, for the right to determine whether the void should be accepted or rejected. But as Riven's magic collides with Darius's will, it becomes clear that the eclipse of magic is inevitable. The void is already infiltrating every layer of reality, and the balance is tipping dangerously toward its total domination. Darius is tested, his will against the sheer force of destruction and rebirth that the void represents. The final eclipse, Darius's decision. The final eclipse of magic is not just a celestial event. It is a symbolic moment when the lines between reality and the void blur beyond recognition. As the abyssal core begins its final activation, the fabric of reality begins to unravel. Time becomes fluid, shifting between moments of past and future, and the entire world begins to feel like a dream that could collapse at any moment. Darius faces the ultimate choice. He must either embrace the abyssal core's power, becoming its guardian and reshaping the world in the void's image, or he must destroy it, sacrificing magic, and potentially destroying the future of the world as it stands. In this moment of truth, Darius realizes that the void cannot be defeated or controlled. It is a force that transcends all things. It is the essence of balance itself, without which the universe would collapse into chaos. He is the key to the prophecy, but his fate is not his own to decide. He cannot escape the legacy of the void, nor can he allow it to destroy everything. As the final eclipse reaches its zenith, Darius makes his decision. He chooses to embrace the void, becoming the new guardian, but with a twist. He will not become a puppet to its power. He will not allow the void to destroy the world, nor will he allow it to consume him completely. He will reshape the void, using its power to bring about a new era of balance between creation and destruction, a world where magic and the void coexist, not in conflict, but in harmony. The moment he embraces the abyssal core, a shocking transformation occurs. Darius's humanity begins to fade, replaced by the power of the void itself. But something within him resists. The cost of his decision is steep. His body becomes a vessel for the void's will, his soul tethered to the abyssal core forever. He is now neither fully alive nor fully dead, but something in between, a paradoxical being with the power to shape the future, but at a terrible cost. Riven's defeat and the Shadowborn's retreat. As Darius merges with the void, Riven's final attempt to control the core fails. The power of the abyssal core, now tied to Darius, overwhelms Riven's dark magic. He is forced to retreat, his dreams of reshaping the world crushed under the weight of the new Guardian's power. The Shadowborn retreat in disarray, their leader defeated, and the rebellion has won. But the victory is bittersweet. The Void is no longer a threat, but the price of their survival has been enormous. Darius, the new Guardian, watches over the world from a place that is neither of it nor outside it, a being in between, neither fully alive nor dead. Chapter 9, The Reckoning. The events that unfold in Chapter 9 signify the aftermath of the Abyssal Core's reawakening and the dramatic transformation of Darius into the Guardian of the Void. The rebellion has won, but the price of victory has irrevocably altered both the world and its champions. This chapter is a somber reflection on sacrifice, the long-lasting consequences of choices, and the lingering presence of darkness, even in the wake of apparent triumph. The world in shambles. The battle has ended, but the consequences of Darius's decision reverberate across the world. The Void's influence, though contained, has left an indelible mark on the fabric of reality. Magic itself has been fundamentally altered, no longer as vibrant or predictable as it once was. The laws that govern the world are now in flux, and the true cost of sealing away the Abyssal Core has yet to fully unfold. The rebellion, now fractured and weary, is left to pick up the pieces of a world that is neither entirely free from the Void nor fully stable. The leaders, including Selene, who had once fought with unwavering determination, are forced to confront the reality of their situation. They cannot ignore that the world they have won is no longer the same. It is broken, and so, the rebellion's future is uncertain. Darius, now a figure both revered and feared, stands as a living embodiment of this transformation. Though he has sealed the Void's power, he is no longer the man he once was. His humanity is a shadow of what it was, and his connection to the Abyssal Core binds him to a fate far more complex and isolated than any could have predicted. The world has been saved, but it has also been left with a living paradox who is neither fully alive nor fully dead. The burden of leadership. As the rebuilding efforts begin, it becomes clear that the remainder of the rebellion has been fractured by the cataclysmic events. Factions once united under a common cause now struggle with their own ideals. The new world that has emerged in the wake of the rebellion's victory is fraught with disagreement over how to navigate the uncertain future. There are whispers of dissent, of factions that seek to either dismantle the remnants of the rebellion or take the reins of power for themselves. Selene, burdened by the loss of her people, her own doubts, and the undeniable presence of Darius's transformation, feels the weight of her choices. She was once the embodiment of hope, a leader who believed in the possibility of unity. Now, as the leader of the Tideborn, she finds herself in a precarious position, unsure of how to lead a fractured world. Her dream of a united front seems more distant than ever. She meets with Darius on occasion, though the distance between them grows with every passing day. He is no longer the man she fought alongside. He is something else entirely. Bound to the Void, a being whose presence seems to pull at the edges of reality itself. While the world moves on, she knows that the price of victory has cast a shadow over everything. Darius, for his part, knows that his fate is tied to the Abyssal Core forever. No longer the leader he once was, he now stands as something both separate and integrated with the Void. His soul is no longer fully his own. He exists as a paradox, forever tethered to a power that demands a constant vigilance, a guardian who must ensure the Void does not rise again to consume the world. The cost of power. The prophecy that once guided their path seems now like a distant memory. The chosen one now a living relic of a world that might have been. Darius' decision to embrace the Void's power, to reshape it, to contain it, has not come without sacrifices. While the Abyssal Core's power has been bound within him, the corruption it's caused is still seeping through the cracks of reality, altering the very nature of existence. As the rebellion seeks to rebuild and lay the groundwork for a new society, they face an unsettling truth. While the Void is no longer an external threat, its echoes are everywhere. Magic is no longer a force to be trusted, and the laws of nature no longer obey the rules they once did. Magic itself, the very foundation of civilization, is unstable, erratic, unpredictable, and dangerous. In the wake of this, Vega, the former ally of Quin, emerges once more. Her true intentions were always shrouded in secrecy, But now her connection to the void has become clear. She is neither an enemy nor a friend, but a complex entity who has come to terms with the new order of things. She reveals that Darius' decision to seal the void has had consequences that no one fully understands. While the Abyssal Core is now bound to him, it continues to ripple across the world, creating unforeseen consequences that threaten to unravel everything they worked for. Darius' internal conflict intensifies. He never wanted to be a god or a puppet to the void's will, but in his efforts to shape the world into something better, he is faced with the stark reality that the power he wields is not one of salvation. It is one of control, a constant reminder that the void is always present, lurking beneath the surface. The paradox of victory. As the final reckoning approaches, the world itself teeters on the brink of another dark age. The reconstruction efforts are slow and painful, with old enemies lurking in the shadows. Riven's shadow still haunts the land, and though the Shadowborn were defeated, their ideology persists. There are whispers among the factions, secretive movements that long for the power of the void, believing that embracing it fully would be the only way to save the world from itself. Despite this, Darius remains a final authority, not through choice, but because of his unique position. He is the living embodiment of the void, a being whose existence ties the fate of the world to its balance. But at what cost? In a moment of reflection, Darius gazes out over the ruins of Athar, the once great city that now stands as a monument to the rebellion's triumph and sacrifice. The rebellion has won, but the world is not the same as it once was. The shadows of the void linger, and its influence continues to pull at the edges of reality. The question that remains is no longer whether the void will return. It has already been reshaped and is now a part of the world. What remains now is the reckoning for all that has happened, for all that has been sacrificed. Chapter 10. The Price of Power. The rebellion's victory feels bittersweet, the silence of the aftermath echoing louder than any celebration. The world, now forever marked by the events that transpired, begins to rebuild, but it is clear that the price paid has altered the very fabric of existence. Magic, once the lifeblood of the land, no longer flows with the same ease. The realms once connected by unspoken rules of power now find themselves in flux. Darius, forever bound to the Abyssal Core, watches as the remnants of the rebellion attempt to rebuild what was lost. He stands on the edge of the new world, aware that his existence is a constant reminder of the sacrifice made to prevent the void from consuming everything. His humanity is gone, a distant memory now intertwined with the very power he sought to destroy. But while the rebellion's future seems secure in the moment, the shadows of the past remain. The cracks in reality caused by the void's influence have left permanent scars on the land. Magic is unpredictable, no longer the tool it once was. What was once a force of life now holds a potential for destruction, a wild and dangerous power that can't be trusted. Selene, once the symbol of hope, finds herself in a different position now. The Tieborn, the faction she fought so hard to unite, are fractured. Many are still uncertain of the future. Some whisper the void's lingering presence, of the powers that still shape the world, even if unseen. She spends her days trying to mend the broken pieces of what the rebellion once stood for, but the task is monumental. As she walks through the ruins of Athar, the ancient city that had been a stronghold for so long, she feels the weight of it all, the lives lost, the choices made. Darius, the man she once trusted, is not the same. He is now a guardian to something that was once their greatest enemy. And though they stand together as leaders, a distance has grown between them. His connection to the void is not just a burden. It's a reminder that the world itself has changed, perhaps forever. Vega, the woman whose allegiance had always been unclear, reappears in the midst of the rebuilding efforts. She is more than just an ally or enemy now. She is a force that neither side fully understands. The truth she holds about the void's reach and her own mysterious motives continue to unsettle those around her. She does not seem to fear the new world, but instead accepts the consequences of Darius' actions as a necessary part of the cycle. The prophecy, once spoken of as a final warning, feels irrelevant now. There is no chosen one left to step forward. There is only the reality of what has happened and what remains. The void has been shaped, and the power that once tore the world apart now exists as a constant presence in the background, felt by all but understood by none. Darius, as its guardian, remains a figure of uncertainty. Selene, too, struggles with the growing knowledge that the world they have fought for might never truly be free of the Void's touch. The rebellion's future, now scattered, is uncertain. No longer united by a common cause, different factions begin to form, each with its own ideals. Some seek to exploit the unpredictable nature of magic, while others seek to rid the world of all traces of the Void. The lines between friend and foe begin to blur once again. The new world that was forged by the rebellion's sacrifice is fragile, and though they manage to stop the worst of the Void's influence, it is clear that they have only delayed the inevitable. Yet, amidst all the chaos, there is a sense of hope, faint but present. The land is healing, slowly but surely. There are those who believe that in the end, the rebellion's efforts were worth it, even if the price was steep. But for Darius, this is no longer a matter of hope. He has no future outside the Void, and the world he saved remains just as fractured as it was before. His soul is bound to the Abyssal Core, and while he holds the power to keep the Void contained, he knows it will always be a part of him, a part of them all. The rebellion's work is not over. Magic, the world, and the very fabric of existence remain unpredictable. New challenges arise from the fractured foundations they've left behind. Selene and the others move forward with the knowledge that they have no choice but to continue, though the burden of leadership weighs heavily. They are the stewards of a world forever changed, and the road ahead is uncertain. As Darius stands at the edge of the ruins, looking out at the world he has both saved and altered, he knows that the price of power has been steep. It is a price that will echo through generations, even if the world itself never fully understands the cost of what was done. The past may be gone, but the shadows it has left behind will never fade.